Shut your eyes and listen. Can you hear it? The faint groan of foghorns from Newark, the mechanical grind of subways carving paths under Manhattan, and the frantic, unending rhythm of millions of footsteps pounding the pavement of Times Square. This is New York City, the planet's unofficial capital, a sleepless giant forged from glass and steel. But imagine if we could rewind the clock. What if we could strip away the layers of asphalt, chip off the concrete, and dissolve the skyscrapers until only the wild, rugged silhouette of the island remains? I want to transport you back more than 360 years to the year 1660. Back then, the city's soundtrack wasn't dominated by sirens or engines. Instead, you'd hear the steady strike of a shipwright's hammer, the whispering of ancient oak groves, and the Atlantic's salty spray crashing against a virgin coastline. This land was known to the Lenape people as Manahatta, a name often translated with poetic flair. On the island's southern edge, a peculiar small town is beginning to take shape, marked by sharp Dutch gables and windmills spinning slowly in the ocean air. Welcome to New Amsterdam. This was far more than a mere outpost. It was a megacity in its infancy. This is where the core elements of ambition, multiculturalism, and raw practicality first fused to forge the American spirit. In this presentation, utilizing AI-driven reconstructions of the legendary 1660 Castello Plan, we are stepping into the unpaved streets of New Amsterdam at its height. We'll explore why this modest settlement served as the fundamental blueprint for the modern global metropolis. Our exploration starts at the very bottom of the island, where Fort Amsterdam keeps its silent watch over the Hudson River. Picture yourself atop these earthen and stone walls. This was no grand European palace built for prestige. It was a rugged, functional hub, serving as a military barracks, a warehouse for the fur trade, and an administrative headquarters. This is where Director General Peter Stuyvesant, famously known for his silver-adorned prosthetic leg, keeps watch. Stuyvesant was far from a traditional politician. He functioned more as an executive for the Dutch West India Company, treating New Amsterdam like a corporate venture in its early stages. Within the fortress walls, a sense of organized mayhem prevails. The clerks are busy cataloging piles of beaver pelts, the brown gold that fueled 17th century trade, preparing them for shipment back to European markets. A cacophony of languages fills the air as debates break out in various tongues. French spoken by Huguenot exiles, German, English, and the sharp, pragmatic Dutch of the colonial leadership. Directly beyond the fort's entrance lies an expansive public square, a bustling hub for trade and community assembly. This area would eventually be formalized under British rule in the 18th century as Bowling Green. In the modern world, this spot sits close to Wall Street's famous Charging Bull, but back in 1660, it served as the settlement's communal backyard, a place to trade livestock, share gossip, and escape the cramped quarters of the town. As the town's social and political center, and critical choices regarding the colony's future were debated here, often at beer-soaked tables amidst clouds of tobacco smoke. Moving away from the fort's rigid environment, we head down Pearl Street, which follows the curve of the East River. The name originates from the countless oyster shells that once lined the shore, gleaming like pearls under the sunlight. This neighborhood belongs to the elite, the wealthy merchant princes of the New World. If you were expecting the primitive log cabins often seen in frontier films, the architecture here will surprise you. The Dutch essentially recreated Amsterdam on American soil. These structures are tall and slender, boasting striking facades of red and yellow brick and iconic stepped gables reaching toward the sky. Many of these bricks weren't even produced locally. They arrived in the hulls of Atlantic ships, serving as cargo or even ballast. To a prosperous merchant such as Cornelius Steenwyck, a residence was more than just a home. It was a grand display of his success. Entering these homes reveals breathtaking opulence. You'd see ornate Persian carpets covering the floors, blue and white Chinese porcelain lining the mantels, and massive oak chests packed with detailed business records. In this colony, your social standing didn't come from a family crest. It was defined by your position in the Dutch global commerce web. Your worth was determined by your international connections. Yet, New Amsterdam wasn't reserved solely for the elite. Let's head over to Stone Street. It holds the distinction of being the first thoroughfare in the settlement to be paved. The locals actually lobbied for this and funded the project themselves, tired of the relentless mud and dust that threatened to bury their daily existence. This is where the true heart of the city beat: the taverns. By the mid-1600s, visitors often noted, sometimes with disapproval, the sheer number of drinking establishments. A massive portion of the town's real estate and social life revolved around spirits. The reason was simple: the tavern served as the neighborhood hub, the financial exchange, and the local press all rolled into one. Picture yourself entering a public house as evening falls. The atmosphere is heavy with the aroma of charred meat and the haze of tobacco from long clay pipes. You might overhear a Caribbean mariner sharing stories of cargo ships loaded with sugar, or a German artisan haggling over lumber costs with a farmer from across the water in Long Island. New Amsterdam was pioneering a unique social phenomenon: pragmatic tolerance. In 1654, when the first group of Jewish refugees landed in Manhattan after escaping persecution in Brazil, Peter Stuyvesant initially tried to kick them out. However, the company's leadership back in the Netherlands overrode his decision. They allowed them to stay, not necessarily out of high-minded morality, but because of a cold, pragmatic business logic. That decision established a lasting precedent. New Amsterdam evolved into a society where your personal religious beliefs were secondary to your capacity to bolster the economy. This marks the birth of the multicultural identity that remains a point of pride for New York today. Now, observe the windmills rotating on the elevated terrain. These were far more than just classic Dutch landmarks. These mechanical giants were the heartbeat of the expanding settlement, essential for milling grain, pumping water, and fueling the efforts of local shipbuilders and craftsmen. A proto-industrial chorus filled the air: the shrill bite of saws, the rhythmic thud of hammers, and the wind's howl through canvas sails. This was a colony defined by its labor and ambition, a place where every resident was caught up in a constant hustle, a term, appropriately enough, with Dutch origins. Instead of erecting grand cathedrals or divine monuments, they focused their energy on practical infrastructure. They constructed wharves, levees, and functional water systems. Their most notable project was a central canal designed to allow vessels direct access to the warehouses. Modern-day Broad Street stands where that canal, known as the Heer Graft, once flowed. Picture a gritty, industrial Venice, where skiffs piled high with pelts and grain drifted past brick residences. This was a triumph of logistics over aesthetics, and it was groundbreaking for its time. Yet, this wealth cast long shadows that cannot be overlooked. New Amsterdam's social structure was complex and hierarchical. Occupying the lowest tier were enslaved individuals, transported from Africa or other colonies. Under the Dutch administration, however, some navigated a peculiar legal middle ground known as half-freedom. While they were permitted to marry and own property, they were still tethered to the West India Company and obligated to labor whenever summoned within a coercive system. Some of the first documented black landowners maintained small plots north of the settlement, near present-day Greenwich Village. These farms acted as a strategic buffer zone in an increasingly volatile frontier. Interactions with the Lenape people remained perpetually strained. Although the fur trade generated massive wealth, the expansion of settlers onto indigenous territories sparked violent confrontations. This friction necessitated the construction of the town's most iconic fortification, the Wall. Born out of desperation and fear, this wall was a combination of earthworks and a wooden palisade. It consisted of massive timber trunks and defensive barriers spanning the width of the island from the East River to the Hudson. The blueprints required sturdy, heavy posts, reaching heights of up to 12 feet. This barrier functioned as a basic fortification rather than a massive stone rampart. It served as the ultimate boundary of European expansion on the island, marking the edge where the wilderness and indigenous territories began. Along the dirt path bordering this wall, ordinary citizens, blacksmiths, bakers, and shopkeepers served as guards, patrolling with muskets at the ready. Ironically, this wall never had to defend against a land invasion. The true threat emerged from the water in 1664, when a small English fleet, including 4 heavily armed warships, sailed into the harbor. Their guns were trained directly on the settlement's fort and its vulnerable wooden homes. While Peter Stuyvesant was prepared to fight, the local merchants took a more pragmatic approach. They calculated the risks and realized that a conflict would result in the total destruction of their wealth and businesses. Under intense pressure from these residents, Stuyvesant eventually signed the Articles of Surrender. In time, the wall was dismantled to make room for urban expansion, and the trail running alongside it transformed into the global financial epicenter we know as Wall Street. Although the name New Amsterdam lasted only 40 years, its influence remains permanent. When the English took control and renamed the city New York in honor of the Duke of York, they were unable to suppress the Dutch spirit. They inherited a society already defined by international trade and cultural diversity, quickly learning that a flexible, commerce-driven environment was essential for the city's prosperity. And this legacy is why New York has always stood apart from the puritanical atmosphere of Boston or the quiet nature of Philadelphia. New York is essentially the product of a corporation, raised on the principles of profit and pluralism. Even today, the map of Lower Manhattan retains the narrow, winding streets that echo the original Dutch property lines. The high-density apartment culture of modern Manhattan is a direct evolution of the compact living styles established back in the 17th century. Even the most quintessential American traditions, from cookies to Santa Claus, are legacies left behind by the inhabitants of New Amsterdam. This colony managed to solve a puzzle that still challenges us today. How can a diverse population with different languages and beliefs coexist in a crowded space? Their solution wasn't found in grand declarations of liberty, but in a pragmatic arrangement. They proved that when people trade and prosper together, they can live together. While Rome was forged by the sword, New York was founded on a contract. When you stand at Battery Park today and look across the water, you aren't just observing history. You are witnessing the origins of our modern world, where national borders fade in the face of global commerce. Our journey through 1660s New Amsterdam has now come to an end. From the cobblestones of Pearl Street to the cannons guarding the fort, every inch of this ground tells a story of grit and ambition. New Amsterdam may have vanished from modern maps, but it survives in the pulse of every New Yorker, the frantic pace of the stock exchange, and the inclusive spirit of a city that always welcomes a stranger looking to build a future. Have you ever wondered how New York might look today if the Dutch had never surrendered? Would it have become a Venice of the West filled with canals? Or would it still be the industrial titan we recognize? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know which historical site we should bring to life with AI next. Thank you for traveling back in time with us. We will see you in our next historical reconstruction, where the past is more than just words on a page. It is a living, breathing experience.